I'm going to give an introduction to the Hong Kong Memory Project, sharing with the audience about the background of the projects and what we have done in the past few years. Also, I would like to elaborate further what is the team's understanding of historical and cultural memories, and explain why the Hong Kong memory takes the present shapes of formations, with the hopes of connecting people with the past through the digital platforms and the activities we have organized. What is Hong Kong memory? First of all, I would say what it is not. It is a project not to give a definition of what Hong Kong memory is. It is a project not to give a definite scope of collective memories. What we are doing is to set up a platform that gives free and open access to digitized materials on Hong Kong materials, culture, histories, and heritage. It presents the many aspects of Hong Kong's heritage, but we are not just, and we hope not to just produce things, preserving the heritage out there on the website. More than that, we hope to devise a process that evokes and shares people's memories and facilitate them to participate. Let me return to this point, and I will try to show that we try to achieve these objectives through a number of programs. Well, the start of the program comes from the government's response to the UNESCO's Memories of the World programs, which calls for the preservation of documentary heritage all over the world through digitization. The Hong Kong SAR government responded to the call by setting up the program in 2006. It is funded by the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charities Trust, and it is a joint project between the trust and the Leisure and Cultural Services Departments of the Hong Kong SAR. And since the inception of the project in 2006, the University of Hong Kong picked up the role to design the architectures and contents of the project, and is responsible for the maintenance and ordinance of the project to this day. The starting point of our teams is to build up digitized collections. We map out scopes for collecting historical materials and develop collections under a particular topic and theme. But we expand a little bit about the meaning of documentary heritage. Not just includes government archive text, but also images, audio visuals, and records produced by our contributors. We hope to build up a historical and cultural platforms, enables free, convenient, and global access to heritage. However, as the projects move on, we are aware that even a growing list of historical topics, as the ways that we present in collections and exhibitions, would not meet the understanding and imagination of local peoples about collective memories. People memorize and connect with the past in different ways. They define histories in their own terms, and perhaps give meanings to heritage based on the emotions, life experience, and subjective views. Unless we have a deeper understanding of why and how people recount the past events and relate themselves with the past, there would be a little hope to shorten the distance between heritage and people, not to mention our best wish to engage them in making cultural memories. So we embrace a different set of objectives, visions, hoping to share, hoping to create an informed context in order to share, evokes their memories, bridge Hong Kong people's sense of place, so and so. And this is the visions we try to implement in the middle and the later stage of the project. Let me show some of the experimental outcomes of the project after several years of hard work. The Hong Kong Memory Project has 4 aspects: collections, exhibitions, oral histories, archives, and community programs. These are the 4 strategies, and then at the same time the cornerstone that underlines our philosophy and missions. This is the homepage to be online as soon as possible this year. In this website, we devised the content into several content areas, from collections, exhibitions, and community programs. Collections are the basic units of content buildings. Hong Kong Memory does not provide chronologies of Hong Kong histories, and it does not assume a particular history subject that can be seen as the representations of collective memories. Rather, they are different topics, displaying the many aspects of the city's heritage, and the topics will grow in futures when more contributors develop the contents for the website. But the basic principles of content building is we provide an informed context so that reader can appreciate the materials and knowledge and meanings embodied in the materials. To give an example, if we browse the collection area and we find, readers or user can go into a particular collections under 4 broad themes. For example, one of the themes, pre-war industries. User can go into the collections and use the navigation tree at the left-hand side and browse different subtopics of the collections. Or they can use the browsing filters to go into the details of the records. Well, it is the least view of records and the views of the records, or zoom into one particular record, which is a cement factory built in 1902. Each individual record will provide with metadata to explain the context and histories. But more importantly, we provide an informed contextual readings of the documents through the slide story structures. This is a particular section designed for the pre-war industries. If the reader go into one of the subtopics about the histories of industries, histories in Hong Kong, here is a slide story showing the outline of the industrial developments of Hong Kong in the pre-war periods, which shows some of the lost pictures we haven't touched or not touched enough in the conventional studies of Hong Kong's economic development. Hong Kong Memory use another methods to convey historical and cultural information. We curate online exhibitions so as to tell a story or to invite the audience to web browsing experience when they are going through the online exhibitions. One of the exhibitions, for example, the snapshots over the years, is this attempt. We invite Mr. Ho South, a local person with no big name, who was a pirate driver bus driver and worker in photography equipment store, but an art lover and self-taught photographer. He contributed stock of photographs for display. His works show a sense of truth, kindness, and beauty, and creates a brand of poetic photography that capture many aspects of the social life of Hong Kong from the 1950s to 1980s. Well, here are the navigation of the site. We go into one albums of the photos, the street life. We can have some picture displays. That is both people's getting water in the 1960s, social habits of male exchanging, giving cigarettes to when they met, a very impressed way to cross a heavy traffic road, and also problems of water supply. Children, people reading comics and information on the street. And there are some typical scenes, typical street scenes in the early days of Hong Kong after the post-war period, and which is quite impressive and captured by a local photographer. And the collections and exhibitions are the traditional means of preservation and dissemination of meanings. But as the project moves on, we are increasingly aware of the importance of people's life experience and the ways of remembering which would form a new base for the presentation and constructions of social memories. Oral history records serve this purpose perfectly. So we set up oral history archive in the digital platform. It is our belief that collecting life experience, perceptions, and sentiments of Hong Kong's individuals by means of oral history's method could be a dynamic and proactive way to preserve the cultural histories of Hong Kong. So far, we collect more than 70 records. Each record represents an individual voice from the communities. To preserve the integrity of a conversation, we organized the audio records by individual persons. Each interviewee was presented with a short bio, highlights audio segments of life experience, and a list of full records. While some interviewees are so generous to share their personal artifacts or documents to support the conversational context. This is some of the images of the oral history's archive. But grouping some of the voices together under a features story could establish a bigger social, political, and cultural context informed by the personal narratives. For example, this is one of the feature story displayed in the oral history's archive on human relationships in Hong Kong industries. The main theme of this story tells a particular features in the post-war period where people particularistic relationships in the work life of the 1950s and 60s was prevalent scene. There are employees who tend to hire people from the same hometown or speaking the same dialect. There were business partnerships founded on friendships and trust, or business surviving at times of hardships owing much to friends or even employee support. The personal narrative tells peoples in the industrial sector believe that taking into account of personal or particularistic relationships was the key to success of Hong Kong's industries in the early days. There is one short clip, but I don't have time to play it. But all the records, there are no basically no image, but the audio records telling people's stories. While doing oral histories, interviews is one of our methods to preserve people's voice and memories. And we go further to let people tell the stories in Hong Kong Memories community site. With the aim to encourage community participation, we develop street programs for a variety of communities to recount their experience. The school memories shown in these images is one of them. Students are encouraged to collect and organize materials for building school archives, to memorize the experience of school life, or to explore the relationship between the schools and the communities. And other programs, humanities and creativities programs, we offer student tools and perspective, encouraging them to do research on a particular history topic or cultural topic. School participating in the programs, the numbers are growing, and we hope that they have far more impact on the school communities. Besides, we see the experience of individual citizens witness every bit of Hong Kong social and historical change. So the third program, our digital stories program. We use a storytelling application at iPad and iPod and invite members of the public to produce and preserve their own story through a 3-minute digital stories and share the story on the website as part of Hong Kong's collective memories. I can show you one piece of record produced by a young ethnic minority girls.
Jordan is basically like a little Nepal in the Kowloon side. Plenty of Nepali shops can be found, hence making it easier for Nepali people to communicate and get on with their life. However, change came uninvited when my parents decided to shift to the Shamshipur district. Everything was bizarre again. Compared to Jordan, living in SSP was a bigger challenge as there were no Nepali shops around. We had moved mainly due to my parents' understanding that Shamshipur had less Nepali people. They believed that I would make more Chinese friends and learn Chinese. It didn't turn out as it was planned. Being the shy girl I was, I would rarely go out of the house. During these years, my school became my second home. Naturally, I would spend over 7 hours at school. At school, it was not necessary to speak in Chinese. Basically, during my 6 years of secondary school life, I had a great improvement in my English speaking, Chinese speaking, and weirdly, in my Hindi. Of course, this was because of the multicultural background I was exposed to. I had friends from India, Pakistan, Korea, Japan, Philippines, and so on. It was common for me to communicate with my friends in other languages. And as weird as it may sound, my Chinese friend would also learn Hindi with us. But of course, I had understood the importance of using Chinese in Hong Kong. I still had problems communicating with the local Chinese. And reality did hit me hard when I started to go to college and all my friends were Chinese. As I understand a little Chinese, my conversation with my friends usually consists of English and Chinese, where I can talk to them in English and they will reply in Chinese. But then, that's just college.
Maybe I stop here. What she's talking about is language problems, and she tried hard to integrate with the Chinese communities. And some of the contexts, such as she's moving housing from one place to another place, increasing difficulties of her integrations to the community. That's kind of experiences would be a very common experience among ethnic minorities in Hong Kong. While her experience has been recorded and the voice has been made, and we try, for our teams, we try to making sense of the story and try to link it up with a bigger context. And this is one of the challenges of our team, as we believe that experience and voice have to be contextualized, and so that we can share it in a different platforms or in a different media platforms. That is one thing the Hong Kong Memory Project is trying to do, in addition to setting up collections and exhibitions. The project has many phases. Preserving documentary heritage is the basic, but we step forward to preserve people's voice and experience. At the same time, pave the ways for them making voice, telling the stories, and enriching the body of collective memories. Through the 4 strategies, we experiment for different paths of development. The Hong Kong Memory Prototype is going to launch in this year, and we hope the public will enjoy it. The Hong Kong Jockey Club's Charity Trust now discussed with the Leisure and Cultural Services Departments of the Hong Kong SAR governments about the futures of the project. The teams hope that the methods we build will lay the foundation for the sustainable development in the future. At last, I have to send my gratitude to my teams, led by Dr. Elizabeth Sind and the Hong Kong U University Libraries. The teams are very dedicated, devoted, and without their hard workings, we can't complete and go through a few hard working years in the past. And thank you.